Is concealer supposed to be lighter or darker than the foundation? Let's first apply the foundation, and for that you need to prep your skin, and for that you'll need a primer. The one that I'll be using today is the Cover FX Blurring Primer. You can use any primer that you prefer. I love this primer because it's going to fill in all my pores and fine lines and smooth out my skin before I apply the foundation. So when the foundation goes on my skin, it goes really smooth and it'll give you more of a skin-like finish. For foundation, I'm going to be using the Hailey's Reform Liquid Luxe. This is a luminous foundation and I'm using the shade 4.3. Hailey's, if you didn't know, is a San Francisco-based company and I live in San Francisco. They're a small cruelty-free brand and I absolutely love this foundation. It's an oil-free formula. It's vegan and it gives you that flawless luminous finish which is more skin-like. And if you've observed recently, I've changed my foundation routine. I first apply it with my fingers and then I remove the excess product with a brush. That way you're not using too much product so your skin looks good even from up close. And I never apply the foundation underneath my eye because I'll be using a concealer there anyway and I don't want to layer too much. That's when you cake up. Now let's apply the concealers to see if they should be dark or light. I'll be using 3 different shades of concealers for this. One which is a darker shade than my skin tone, one which is a lighter shade, and one which is a true match to my skin tone. Let's start with the darker shade. I'm going to be using the Pretty Fresh Concealer by ColourPop, and this is in the shade Dark 170N. Let's apply it right underneath my eyes. I'm going to use it to cover up my dark circles, and let's see how it looks. And the brush that I'm using is the Real Techniques Concealer Brush. So there we have the concealer that's darker than the foundation. As you can see, it looks odd. Although you cannot use it on its own, if you observe carefully, it has a peach undertone. And for that reason, it can be used as a color corrector to cover up your hyperpigmentation and dark circles. So I'm going to be using more of that concealer around my mouth because I have some hyperpigmentation there as well. And over this color correction is where I'm going to use a concealer that's either a true match to my skin tone, like this one from Milani in the shade 150. I usually use 145, but I'm a little tan after coming back from Hawaii, so I'm using 150. Or you can also use a lighter shade of concealer. If you use a shade that's a true match to your skin tone, it gives you more of a full coverage look. But if you use a shade that's lighter than your skin tone, that highlights underneath the eyes. Either way, it'll completely cover up your dark circles when you layer it over a corrector, which is a deeper shade of concealer here. You can also use the deeper shade of concealers as a base on your eyelids, especially when you do smoky eyes, because you already have a darker base on your eye and it becomes very easy to create a sultry smoky eye. And what else can you use it for? To contour your face and add dimension. Here I'm going to be using it in the circumference of my face, in the hollows of my cheekbones to contour my jawline as well as my nose. And then I'm going to quickly blend it out with the Real Techniques foundation brush. When I choose shades of deeper and lighter concealers, I go 2 shades deeper or lighter than my skin tone. I don't like to do anything more than that because I like subtle contours and subtle highlights. That way it looks more natural by subtly enhancing your natural features. So here it is after using the deeper shade of concealer to contour my face and add dimension. And just to recap, you can use the deeper shade of concealer as a color corrector for your hyperpigmentation. You can use it on your lids as a base for the eyeshadows, especially when you do smoky eyes. And my favorite is brown smoky eyes when I use the brown base. And you can also use it to contour your face. Now let's test out the lighter shade of concealer. I'm using the Milani concealer in the shade 135. I'm going to start by applying it underneath my eyes and blend it out with the ColourPop concealer brush. As you can see, it highlights underneath the eyes when you use a lighter shade of concealer, but because I have dark circles, it also gives that ashy tone. If you don't have dark circles, you can most definitely use a lighter shade of concealer underneath your eyes to highlight it. But if you do have dark circles like me, the first step is to color correct. I'm going to go back to the deeper shade of concealer and use it as a color corrector. That'll cancel out the blue undertones of my dark circles and hyperpigmentation and neutralize it. And once I've completed that step is when I'm going to use the lighter shade of concealer over it. But before you layer it this way, make sure the concealer underneath is completely dry. Otherwise, it can mix with the lighter shade of concealer and give you that orange tinge. And now as you can see, it's highlighted underneath my eyes, but it doesn't give you those ashy or gray tones. And what else can you use the lighter shade of concealer for? To highlight your face. I'm going to be using it on the highest points of my cheekbones, in my chin, in my jawline, in my forehead, as well as the bridge and tip of my nose. It's going to bring all those features forward, so when the light hits your face, you see more dimension in your face. And of course, it also brightens up your face. And then you can also use on your eyelids as a base for the eyeshadows. When you use a lighter shade of concealer as a base for the eyeshadows on your lids, lighter shades of eyeshadows like the pastels show more with the lighter base. And those, my friends, are the ways that you can use a lighter shade of concealer on your face. So now we've used a darker shade of concealer and a lighter shade of concealer. What happens if you use a concealer that's a true match to your skin tone? To demonstrate this, I'm using the Milani concealer in the shade 150. I'm going to start by applying it underneath my eyes. And again, to blend it out, I'm using the Real Techniques brush. I'm going to link all of these products for you, so do check it out. Now, as you can see, it's covered my dark circles because my dark circles have gotten lighter. But if you asked me a year ago when my dark circles were deeper, this wouldn't work. I would have had to color correct and then layered it with a concealer. So if you don't have too much dark circles, you can most definitely use a concealer directly like this. And a shade that's a true match to your skin tone will not necessarily highlight underneath the eyes, but it'll cover up the dark circles. So it can be used as a concealer. And for that reason, you can also use it to spot correct around your face. After applying the foundation or before using the foundation, use it in areas where you have dark spots or dark patches and blend it out. Just like we used it on our dark circles, a shade that's a true match to your skin tone can also be used on the lids to cover up the dark circles, as well as to use it as a base for the eyeshadows. So overall, you can use a concealer that's a true match to your skin tone for that flawless full coverage makeup. There's another way, which is probably one of my favorite ways that you can use a concealer that's a true match to your skin tone on your face. And for that, I'm going to first remove this makeup. And the way that you'll use this concealer is instead of a foundation. When you do not want too much coverage, you can use a concealer that's a true match to your skin only to spot correct and cover up those dark circles and dark patches. That way it wouldn't look like you have too much makeup on your face, but it'll even out the skin tone. This technique is used especially when you want that no makeup look or a minimalistic look. What I like to do is after I've applied the concealer and blended it out with a brush, just to make sure there's no harsh edges left between the concealer and my skin, I take either a sponge, a dry sponge, or I take a powder puff to go around my face to blend everything seamlessly. That'll not only blend everything seamlessly, it'll also mattify your face and remove the excess product. And that'll result in an even base without looking heavy or cakey. I hope that clarifies what shades of concealers you can use and how to use it. Let me know in comment section if you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I love you guys so much, and I will see you soon with a brand new one. Bye guys.